you so much, Jen Sue. Now, today we start our new weekly Vet Express chat. Now, each Friday, top vet Dr. Roy Aronson will be on hand to answer all your pet-related queries. Now, today we are focusing on arthritis and getting some info on how to identify it and how to treat it. Now, our phone lines are, of course, open, and if you have any queries or question, call us on 083 91 33 728. Dr. Roy, good morning. Welcome to eXpresso.
Oh, thanks. You're nice to be here.
Fantastic. So, tell me a bit about Sky. Just before we came on, you told me this very interesting story about Sky and the steps this morning.
Well, we got out on the 6th floor and took a left, and he took one look at the steps and decided there's no ways that he's going to make it. So he went back into the lift, and we had to come up to the 7th.
Well, we got to give it to him. He's clever.
He couldn't do it. He's too old.
So we are talking about arthritis. How common is it in dogs?
Yeah, it's a common disease, and it affects older animals. It doesn't affect them exclusively, sometimes younger, but mainly older animals.
Okay. So is it mainly age, or are there different causes and symptoms as well?
Look, it is age associated. A big thing is if dogs are overweight. So we get quite fussy about overweight dogs. They need to be slim and trim if possible. They need to maintain regular exercise because muscle tone is good for them. And if they have strong muscles and they keep those muscles strong for the rest of their lives, then certainly it will help to prevent. But weight-associated, big problem.
Yeah. And also when dogs are young, when you get your puppy, I mean, you need to be careful not to overexert it, if I'm correct.
To a point, yes, to a point. If you do over-exercise your dogs, you can certainly precipitate some problems, but it's a disease that mainly occurs, as I say, in later life.
Okay. Now, dogs obviously can't talk, so they can't tell us when they have arthritis or anything like that. So what are some of the symptoms to look out for, and what should you do once you suspect your dog may be having arthritis?
Look, a loss of motion. You know, one of the classic presentations of arthritis is the dog is reluctant to move. Another thing, when the owners take the dogs out, the dogs come back and they're sore, and they want to lie down and not move. So the loss of motion is really a big thing. Pain, they sometimes lift their limbs. If their hips are affected, they may have difficulty getting up, but the overall picture is pain. Certainly there are some joint supplements that one can use to try and prevent this problem. And when you see these symptoms, when you think your dog has a problem, then unfortunately it's time to consult the vet. Because there are certainly many things that we can do. We can't cure arthritis, but we certainly can treat some of the symptoms, the overwhelming symptom being pain and discomfort.
So it's literally the same type of effect that it has on humans, you know, when we get arthritis, that you get in your dogs.
Yeah, arthritis by definition is inflammation of joints, and that inflammation will ultimately cause damage to the joints. And yes, what we get in our legs and limbs, they get in their limbs. And another thing, don't forget, it's not only dogs, although mainly dogs, cats as well. Can certainly suffer from arthritis.
Okay. Now, we have a caller on the line, Chantel from East London. Good morning.
Good morning.
Morning, how are you, Chantel?
I'm okay, and you?
Fantastic, fantastic.
Morning,
Do you have a
Chantal.
question for Dr. Roy?
Well, I've got a little doggy. It's a mixed girl. I think it's like a Jack Russell mixed girl. He's very picky on what he wants to eat. He doesn't want to eat any kind of special dog food like pedigree or bobtail stuff. He just wants to eat scraps, basically like potatoes and rice and that. What can I do to help him, because he's really overweight as well?
Okay, well, I'm not sure that it has much to do with arthritis, but just in general, you can feed your dogs table scraps, but I would just be cautious about the starches. The stuff that makes you fat will also make him fat. So potatoes, rice, that sort of stuff, yeah, unfortunately you need to cool down with the carbs and maybe increase the protein. I don't know if that helps you, but that's what I would advise.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Yeah. I'm sure once a dog is also... Thank you, Chantel. Thank you so much for your question. And once a dog is hungry, I mean, he will eat his food that you put to him. You know?
Yes, and unfortunately, like us, once a dog is fat, it's really difficult to reduce the weight.
Yeah. And as you say, overweight, one of the biggest causes, or the main causes for arthritis.
Yeah. A lot of new research indicates that fat is not just fat, but it's actually an organ which is seriously involved in inflammation. So the more fat you have, unfortunately, on your body, the more inflammatory products you have, and the more you are uncomfortable.
Awesome. Dr. Roy, thank you so much, and also to Sky for coming up in the lifts this morning. Very, very clever dog. All right, so remember, next week, Friday, Dr. Roy will be back to answer some more of your pet queries. Right now, over to our man, Kat.
Stay with eXpresso and SABC3.